Cancel your vacation. We need the house for my daughter's bachelorette party, my sister texted. I'd booked the beach house 8 months in advance. We're family. Stop being difficult, Mom added in the group chat. I replied, you're right. Family comes first. Then I called the property manager and had their access codes removed. When 14 women showed up to lock doors at 9 p.m., my name is Jackson. I'm 32, and I'm a journalist in Richmond, Virginia. 8 months ago, I booked a beach house for 1 quiet week in September, my first real break in 2 years. I paid $4,860 up front, plus a $750 security deposit, because that's what you do when you want something to truly be yours. You commit. Then my sister texted me, acting like she was doing me a favor. Cancel your vacation. We need the house for my daughter's bachelorette party. I stared at the message until my eyes burned. Before I could even reply, my mom jumped into the group chat like she'd been waiting in the wings. We're family. Stop being difficult. They expected me to fold like I always do. What they didn't realize was that I had booked the place under my name, my card, my contract, and most importantly, my control. So I replied, you're right. Family first. Then I called the property manager. Hi, I said. This is Jackson Carter. I need you to remove all access codes except mine. There was a pause. And of course, Mr. Carter. A few hours later, my inbox chimed with the updated access list and the signed rental agreement attached. That's when everything changed, because when 14 women showed up at 9 p.m., heels sinking into the sand, phones lighting up the dark, and found the doors locked, there was nothing left to argue about. Only the truth. Only boundaries. And finally, consequences. The thing about being the reasonable one is that people eventually start treating you like a public utility. You don't get asked. You get assigned. Growing up, I learned that being flexible really meant being invisible. Mom never said it that way. She used softer words. Jackson, you're the easiest. Jackson, you understand. Jackson, don't make a scene. My sister Kayla was the opposite of easy. She was a storm everyone rearranged their lives for. And my niece Tessa, Kayla's only daughter, grew up believing the world should move the moment she blinked. I didn't hate them. That's what people always get wrong. I wasn't plotting revenge or wishing them harm. I was just tired of being treated like the extra chair pulled out when guests showed up. The birthday cake. When I turned 12, Mom baked a chocolate cake. I remember clearly because chocolate was my favorite. She placed it on the table and smiled, proud of herself. Then Kayla walked in, looked at it, and wrinkled her nose. Chocolate, she said. Gross. Mom didn't hesitate. Oh, honey, she said to Kayla. We can fix that. She scraped the frosting off, actually scraped it, then ran to the store to buy vanilla instead. I sat there, watching crumbs stick to her fingers. Dad didn't even look up from the TV. Kayla smiled at me like I was supposed to laugh. You don't care, Mom said, like she understood my feelings better than I did. You're not picky. That was my first lesson. If you don't fight, they assume you don't matter. The scholarship dinner. At 17, I won a full-ride scholarship. It should have meant banners, balloons, maybe someone crying into a napkin. Mom took us out to dinner at a chain restaurant, and she spent half the meal talking about Kayla's new boyfriend. I tried to bring the conversation back to me. They said my essay was... Mom said, cutting her chicken. Kayla, tell your brother what Brandon's dad does. It's very impressive. Kayla leaned back, glowing. His dad owns a dealership. Dad finally looked up. Smart girl, he said to Kayla. I swallowed my pride with my soda. Later, Mom patted my arm in the parking lot. Don't be sensitive, she said. You know we're proud. You just don't need as much. That phrase followed me into adulthood like a shadow. You don't need as much. By 26, I had a job, an apartment, and enough therapy vocabulary to name what my family did without starting a war. Kayla called one Saturday morning. Hey, she said, too cheerful. Can you come help me move? Brandon's at work. I have a deadline, I said. She laughed like I was joking. Jackson, please. It'll take like an hour. It took 6. I carried boxes while Kayla filmed a TikTok about moving day chaos. At one point, she stopped me in the hallway. Careful with that, she snapped. That's fragile. It was a box of her decorative wine glasses. I hadn't eaten. I hadn't sat down. I was just there. When I finally left, she kissed the air next to my cheek. You're the best, she said. I don't know what we'd do without you. She didn't know. She just liked the arrangement. The final straw was already set. 2 years ago, I started covering a court beat that ate my life. Days blurred into hearings and late-night edits. My phone lived in my hand like a second pulse. I promised myself that once I got through the summer, I'd take 1 week. Just 1 week where nobody needed anything from me. So I chose a beach town 3 hours away, quiet, clean, a house with a balcony facing the ocean. I booked it 8 months in advance because that's how you get the good ones. When the confirmation email came in, I leaned back in my chair and exhaled like I'd been holding my breath since childhood. I didn't tell my family at first, not because it was a secret, but because I knew how it worked. If you have something nice, they start planning around it. But I slipped up in August. Mom called during my lunch break. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Just surviving," I said. "Trying to make it to my vacation." Mom perked up. "Vacation? I should have lied. I didn't." "Yeah," I said. "Beach house. September. I really need the quiet." There was a small, thoughtful pause, like she was filing the information away. "How nice," Mom said warmly. "You deserve it." I remember thinking, maybe she's changing. I remember being stupid enough to feel relief. The text came 3 weeks later, on a Tuesday, while I was eating noodles over my keyboard. Kayla's name flashed on my screen. "Kayla, cancel your vacation. We need the house for my daughter's bachelorette party." I blinked. I read it again. I typed what? Then Mom's group chat notification popped up. The family chat, Carter Crew, because Mom thought it was cute. She'd already added Kayla, my Aunt Denise, my cousin Mark, and Kayla's fiancé Brandon. Mom didn't waste time. "Jackson, we're family. Stop being difficult. Tessa's bachelorette is once in a lifetime." Kayla replied quickly. "Exactly. You could go another time. You don't have kids. You can be flexible." There was again. Be flexible. Be invisible. I set my fork down. My stomach went cold. I typed slowly. "Me. I booked it 8 months ago. It was non-refundable. It was under my name." Kayla replied with a screenshot of a Pinterest board. Tessa Boach weekend, full of matching swimsuits, champagne flutes, and a neon sign that read Bride Tribe. "Kayla, we already planned everything around that house. Don't ruin this." Mom jumped in. "Mom, honestly, Jackson, you always make everything about you." Then Aunt Denise chimed in, like she'd been waiting for a moment. "Aunt Denise, come on, honey. Let the girls have fun." I stare at my phone. I could feel the old reflex kicking in, the one that says if you just give them what they want, the discomfort ends faster. But I also felt something newer, a small, hard seed of anger that didn't want to be swallowed. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I asked one question. "Who told you about the house?" Kayla answered immediately. "Mom did. She said you'd understand." Mom sent a heart emoji. A heart, like she hadn't just volunteered my money and my week as if it were a community donation. I exhaled slowly through my nose. "No." Kayla's response came fast. "Messy. Are you serious right now?" "Mom, Jackson, don't do this." "Kayla, you're being selfish." Then Mom dropped the line that always worked, the one that made me feel like the villain for having a spine. "We're family. Stop being difficult." I could almost hear her voice, that syrupy firmness, the way she said family like it was a law. And Kayla, my sister, the storm, added her own twist. "Don't embarrass me. The girls are counting on it." That word hit wrong. Embarrass. Not hurt. Not disappoint. Embarrass. Like my only purpose was to keep her from looking bad. I typed one sentence, choosing it carefully. Rewritten version, minimal changes. "Me, you're right. Family first." Mom immediately reacted with a thumbs up. Kayla sent, "Thank you." I stared at the screen, my fingers still resting on the glass. Then I stood up, walked into my bedroom, and pulled my rental folder from the drawer. Yes, a folder. Journalist brain. Keep receipts. Inside were the printed agreement, the payment confirmation, the property manager's contact information, and the email thread where I had very clearly asked about guest access. The house used keypad codes, temporary ones. Easy to assign. Easy to revoke. I picked up my phone and called the property manager. She answered on the second ring. "Seabright Properties, this is Mara." "Hi, Mara," I said. "This is Jackson Carter. Reservation number SB 1147. Oh, Mr. Carter, she said, bright and professional. Yes, I see you. September 14th through the 21st. We're excited to host you. I need to update something, I said. My family thinks they're using the house instead. Mara's tone shifted. Not dramatic, just alert. Are they authorized guests? No, I said. Understood, Mara replied. What would you like me to do? My voice came out calm, almost gentle. Remove all access codes except mine, I said. And add a note. If anyone shows up claiming they're with me, they are not. Please don't let them in. Mara didn't hesitate. Done, she said. I'll email you confirmation. Would you like me to change the lockbox code as well? Yes, I said. Please. I could hear her typing, the clack of keys like tiny judgment. Anything else? She asked. I swallowed once. If they cause trouble, I said, call the non-emergency line. Mara's voice softened. I'm sorry you're dealing with this, she said. But yes, we handle situations like this. You're the primary renter. Your name controls access. Primary renter. That phrase felt like a door clicking shut. Thank you, I said. After I hung up, I sat on my bed and stared at the wall. My phone buzzed. Kayla. Okay, so I need the address and the code. I didn't answer. Another buzz. Mom, send your sister what she needs. I opened the messages, and something inside me went quiet. Not numb, just resolved. I opened my email. Marla's confirmation was already there. Subject: access code update confirmed. Attached was a PDF, clean, official, unemotional. It listed the authorized code. Jackson Carter only. It also included the clause Kayla and Mom had ignored. Unauthorized guests constitute trespass and may be removed. That PDF became my artifact of truth. I didn't send it yet. I waited. In the weeks leading up to the weekend, the group chat turned into a parade of entitlement. Kayla messaged like the house already belonged to her. Kayla, can you ask if there's a blender? We're doing frozen margaritas. Kayla, also, does it have enough towels for 14? Kayla, Tessa wants string lights on the balcony. Is that allowed? Mom added supportive commentary, like she was the event planner. Mom, this will be so special for Tessa. Mom, Jackson, you did a good thing. I didn't correct her. I didn't warn them. That's the part people love to moralize about. They want you to announce your boundaries politely in advance, in a font that doesn't upset anyone. But here's what I knew deep in my bones. If I warned them, they would escalate. They'd call. They'd show up at my apartment. They'd cry, guilt-trip me, and recruit more relatives. And if I still said no, they'd paint me as cruel anyway. So I chose the only option that protected me. I let them believe the lie they had already decided was true. And I got my ally. Not a lawyer, not a muscle-bound cousin, but a quiet, competent property manager named Mara, who followed contracts like scripture. The day before the bachelorette, Mara called me. Mr. Carter, she said, just confirming your check-in time for next week. Yes, I said. I want to reiterate, they are not allowed. Noted, Mara replied. We've removed all old codes. Only yours will work. Thank you, I said. Then she added casually, we've had a few calls from someone claiming to be your sister. My jaw tightened. What did you tell her? I asked. I told her only the renter can make changes, Mara said. She wasn't happy. I almost laughed. Of course she wasn't. Mara, I said, if she calls again, don't engage. Just repeat the policy. Already doing that, Mara replied. When I hung up, my phone buzzed again. Kayla, why won't they answer me? Did you tell them I'm your sister? I stared at the screen. Old Jackson would have tried to smooth things over. New Jackson typed one line. Me, they only deal with the renter. Kayla sent a string of angry emojis. Mom called immediately. I let go to voicemail. Then another call. Then a text. Mom, answer your phone. This is ridiculous. I didn't reply. I went back to work. That weekend, I didn't go to the beach house. Not yet. My vacation was still scheduled for the following week. The bachelorette weekend was the weekend before. Kayla and Mom had assumed I'd cancel and hand it over, but I hadn't canceled anything. I'd simply removed their access to something that was never theirs. Friday night, 8:47 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. I answered. Wind and yelling filled my ear. Then Kayla's voice, sharp and angry. Jackson. I pulled the phone away slightly. What? We're here, she hissed. We're at the house. The code isn't working. In the background, someone yelled, "Try it again." Another voice complained, "My feet are killing me." Kayla was breathing fast. "Did you change it?" she demanded. I pictured it. 14 women in matching outfits, suitcases lined up like an airport, glittery sashes, a rolling cooler, and a keypad that didn't care. "Yeah," I said. Silence. "Then why?" Her voice cracked, like she genuinely couldn't understand it. "Because it's my rental," I said. "I already told you no." Kayla let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob. "You said family comes first," she snapped. "You said yes." "I did," I replied calmly. "Family first. So this time, I'm putting myself first." "Are you serious?" she spat. Tessa is standing here, completely humiliated. I could hear voices in the background now, louder. "Is he serious? We drove 4 hours. This is so embarrassing." Kayla dropped her voice, sharp and threatening. "Open the door, Jackson." "No," I said. Then Mom's voice cut in. She must have been on speaker. "Jackson," she said, shaking with anger. "What are you doing? Do you realize how selfish this is?" I leaned back against my kitchen counter, keeping my voice steady. "I'm setting a boundary," I said. "The house isn't available to you." Mom raised her voice. "After everything we've done for you." "Don't," I interrupted. "One word. Flat." Kayla jumped in, vicious. "You're a miserable little man," she said. "You always have been." There it was. That familiar, brutal line meant to humiliate. My chest tightened, but I didn't react. "You don't get to rewrite what you did to me," I said. "And you don't get to take what I paid for." Kayla's voice trembled. "So what? You want us sleeping in our cars?" "No," I said. "You can get a hotel." Mom gasped like I'd said something unforgivable. "A hotel? For 14 people? Do you have any idea how expensive that is?" "Yes," I said quietly. "Duh. I was the one who paid for the house." Kayla started crying, but it felt forced, like it was meant for everyone listening. "Jackson," she said softly, "please. Just for tonight. The girls can sleep on couches. We'll be gone by Sunday. You won't even notice." I closed my eyes. That was always how it started. Just this once. Just tonight. And then again and again, until your life disappears into endless compromises. "No," I said. The line went silent for a moment. Then someone yelled in the background, "Call the cops." "Don't be dramatic," Kayla hissed. Mom spoke again, calm but poisonous. "You're going to regret this," she said. "I promise." I opened my eyes. "Maybe," I said, "but I won't regret finally being honest." Kayla screamed my name. I ended the call. Immediately, my phone exploded. Texts, calls, voicemails piling up like bricks. I didn't open them. Instead, I went to my email and forwarded Mara's PDF to myself again. Just seeing it steadied me. I did one more thing. I sent a single message to the group chat. "Me, the property manager, has been instructed that only I am authorized. If you cause trouble, you'll be removed for trespass. Please make other arrangements." I attached the PDF, the artifact of truth, the contract, the clause, the reality they couldn't shout over. What I imagined would happen next was chaos. What actually happened was worse. It was human, because people don't like being told no. They hate it even more when there's an audience. Later, Mara emailed me a brief summary. Not dramatic, just facts. 9:03 p.m. Group arrived and attempted entry. Codes failed. 9:11 p.m. Guest called the office line. Informed only the renter could authorize. 9:22 p.m. Guest became disruptive. Neighbors complained. 9:31 p.m. Non-emergency contacted. 9:44 p.m. Guests left property. 14 women dressed for a party, turned away like a bad reservation. I stared at the timestamps. Part of me felt sick, not because I'd done something wrong, but because I knew exactly how Kayla would spin it. She wouldn't say, "I tried to steal my brother's vacation rental." She would say, "Jackson abandoned us." She would say, "Jackson humiliated Tessa." She would say, "Jackson hates family." And the enabling crowd would nod, because it's easier than admitting the truth. I went to bed early, like someone who'd survived something loud. The next morning, my mom's voicemail was waiting. I listened once. Her voice was shaky, theatrical. "Jackson, I don't even recognize you. Your sister and Tessa were crying all night. People were laughing at them. Do you understand what you did? You made us look like fools." She paused, and her tone sharpened. "Call me. Fix this. Fix this." Meaning, undo your boundary so we can go back to using you. Kayla texted a screenshot from Instagram. A story post. 14 women in a hotel lobby. 4 smiles captioned, "When the rental falls through, but we still party." Underneath, Kayla wrote, "Everyone knows you did this. Hope you're happy." I didn't respond. Not because I didn't have words, but because I finally understood something simple and clear. If someone only likes you when you're useful, they don't like you. They like the version of you that doesn't take up space. Around noon, Aunt Denise called. I almost ignored it, but then I thought, let's see what angle she takes. "Jackson," she said, voice syrupy. "Honey, you've caused a lot of upset." "I enforced my contract," I said. She sighed dramatically. "You know what I mean? We don't do this to family. We also don't steal from family," I said. "A beat. Steal is such a harsh word," she murmured. I laughed once, short and humorless. "I paid for the house," I said. "They tried to take it." Aunt Denise lowered her voice. "Your mother is heartbroken." I went still. "No," I said. "My mother is angry. She couldn't control me." Denise sucked in a breath like I'd slapped her. "You're turning into one of those people who cuts off family," she warned. I kept my voice level. "I'm turning into someone who stops letting family cut me," I said. And then I ended the call. That was the moment it became real. Not a fight, not a misunderstanding, a boundary. On Monday, I got an email from Kayla. Not a text, an email. Subject line, invoice. I opened it. She had actually typed out a list of expenses she claimed I owed her. Hotel rooms, partial, emotional distress, decorations wasted, bride disappointment compensation. At the bottom, she wrote, "Total due, $2,940. I stared at it, stunned into quiet awe. Then I forwarded it to my lawyer friend Eric, not because I needed to sue, but because I wanted to know what to say that ended this clean. Eric replied within 10 minutes. "Jackson, she has no claim. Do not engage. One written statement. You did not have my permission to use it. You will not be reimbursed. Any further contact should be through your lawyer if you insist." I didn't want a lawyer. I wanted silence. So I sent one message. Not angry, not pleading. Clear. I did not authorize your use of my rental. I will not cover any expenses you chose to incur. Do not contact me about money again. Kayla responded instantly. "Kayla, you're dead to us." Mom followed. "Mom, I hope your little beach week was worth losing your family." I stared at those words for a long time because that was the trade they had been offering me my whole life. Compliance in exchange for belonging. And I finally saw it for what it was, a bad deal. The next week, I went to the beach house alone. When I arrived, the sunset spilled across the water like molten copper. The air smelled of salt and clean wood. I typed my code into the keypad. The lock clicked open like a promise kept. Inside, the house was quiet in a way my childhood never had been. No demands, no guilt, no performance. Just me, a balcony, and the ocean rolling in and out as if it had all the time in the world. I set my bag down and walked to the sliding doors. For a moment, I stood there with my hand on the frame, breathing. Then my phone buzzed again. Mom, of course. A text this time. "Mom, I can't believe you're doing this to us. Think about your father's health. Think about the stress." My father's health, another lever. I felt the old panic twitch, like maybe I should apologize just to make it stop. Then I did something small, symbolic, and final. I opened my contacts. I blocked Mom. Then I blocked Kayla. Then Aunt Denise, one by one, closing doors gently instead of slamming them. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was spacious. That night, I sat on the balcony with a beer I didn't even taste. The waves kept their steady rhythm. And I thought about how many times I've been told I was selfish for wanting basic respect. So many times, family had been used like a weapon. I didn't feel victorious. I felt sad. And then I felt free because boundaries aren't about revenge. They're just reality. You don't have to punish anyone. You just stop being part of the version of yourself that keeps getting hurt. A month later, Mom tried a new tactic. She mailed me a card with no return address. Inside, in her looping cursive, she wrote, "I forgive you. When you're ready to apologize, you know where we are. I stared at that line, and something in me actually smiled. Not because it was funny, but because it was so perfectly her. She couldn't even admit she'd done anything wrong. She had to forgive me first. I didn't reply. I didn't write a long explanation or an essay about feelings. I folded the card once and put in the same drawer as the rental agreement, receipts, artifacts of truth, proof that I hadn't imagined it. Then I went back to my life, work, friends, a quiet Saturday morning where nobody needed anything from me. And the next time someone said, "We're family," stop being difficult, I finally had the words ready. I didn't shout them. I didn't even say them aloud. I just lived them. Family doesn't mean access. And love that requires erasing yourself isn't love, it's control. So here's my boundary, clear and final. I don't do group chats that gang up on me. I don't negotiate my no. I don't bend in ways that make me invisible. I block them, and I kept them blocked. And the last thing I did before turning off the light that night at the beach house, I closed the sliding door with 2 fingers. Soft, controlled, and listened to it latch. Not a rejection, a choice. I stopped volunteering for a role that only made me smaller. This story shows that boundaries aren't about revenge, they're about reality. Family doesn't automatically get your time, money, or peace. People who benefit from your flexibility might call your no selfish, but that doesn't make it wrong. Keep records. Set clear agreements. Respond calmly instead of arguing. If someone only values you when you're useful, they don't truly value you.